Hey guys, James with Torches and Tactical, and today we're going to be looking at this guy. Now this is the TacRay DT-03. It is a sheep's foot / Wharncliffe titanium scaled knife, and very cool. But before we get started, I do just want to say that if you guys are interested in the rest of this collection, I got this off AliExpress. This is actually a titanium pen, so black anodized titanium, or black coated titanium with gold hardware. Very cool. I like it quite a bit, but I wanted to round out the collection, so I also have a Convoy S2 Plus in titanium. This is the stonewash finish, and I figured that would be a great way to round out this EDC collection, so to speak. So I will start off by saying that TacRay is a bit of a strange company. Now, I've had a hard time getting information one way or the other, but this is one of maybe 3 or 4 knives that they make, and I can't tell if this is the only one that they've officially made by themselves. I did do another one recently, and the Tarkus, and I liked it quite a bit, but this is the first titanium one that I've seen from them. So we do know that there are a couple of other models, one alluded to on their website and another on Amazon. That's that Tarkus that I was talking about. But outside that, I don't see a lot of other mentions on the internet. Now, I don't know if it's a company copying Tarkus's design, or TacRay's design with the Tarkus or the DT-03, or how that all is playing out, but it's kind of strange. What I do know is that TacRay is known for their manufacturing industry for making titanium hardware, screws and things like that, for other knife companies. So it makes sense that they'd eventually make their own titanium frame lock as well. And in so the introduction of the DT-03. This one came my way after I reviewed their Tarkus, which I really liked, like I said, and I'm also an absolute fan of titanium, as you can probably tell. So this is not my only full titanium set, but I'm a huge fan of titanium, so I got this one as well. So as far as the packaging, so everything came in here. So the DT-03 came inside a sleeve inside this little bubble. I don't know if envelope, a bubble sleeve, came inside the plastic sleeve in a bubble sleeve, and that all sat inside this packaging right here. So very basic. You can see the Amazon. I will put a link down below so you can pick this up. Now, one thing you'll see here is that it does say blue handle. They do offer a purplish blue handle as well as the raw titanium, but take the sleeve off and, oh, hold on. It's in there pretty good. Take the sleeve off, and really the only other thing that you get in there is a TacRay branded microfiber for keeping things looking fresh. So the only other thing inside is a thank you card. So thank you for choosing TacRay. We are a professional EDC titanium provider. So maybe work on that translation a little bit, but outside of that, let's get to the knife. So with the DT-03, now, like I said before, this knife does have a sheep's foot-y / Wharncliffe kind of blade that gives off some serious KUF or even Spidey Chef vibes in its general purpose, if not specific design details. So deployment is via this large trapezoidal hole, not round like the Spyderco's, but that large trapezoidal. You can do the reverse flick, so don't worry about that. You can thumb roll it out, but you do have to be careful with your finger placement on that frame lock. So here, I'll show you. I think the reverse flick is probably the best activation of the DT-03. So you can, like I said, reverse flick it. Now, if you're used to Spyderco's, this doesn't take a lot of getting used to. The hole's large enough that you can really shove your finger all the way through there. And generally, I don't, because my nails are almost too big sometimes for something more narrow like this. I tend to be able to work with the Spyderco holes a little bit better. So if you have thicker nails, it might not work super great. If you have thinner fingers, this will work all day, every day. So for the tail of the tape, the DT-03, it is, from what I can tell, it is the same OEM that does work for Nock knives. And as far as the blade material goes, I will show you right now. This does state VG10 steel right here. So VG10 with a stonewash finish, and that's going to help keep it looking nice longer, maybe hide some minute scratches. And for the handle, it is a titanium frame lock. This is their standard gray, and like I said, it does also come in that purple or blue anodized version. And the hardware, does have some gold on it. As far as the weight goes, this comes in at 4.02 ounces or 114 grams. And the blade length, now this is kind of a mixed bag. So blade length from the frame comes to 3.6. But if you want to measure the cutting surface, the cutting edge right here comes right at about 4 inches. So you can see that the cutting edge comes back a little bit. So it does make, it's a pretty large handled knife. So it doesn't have, I don't have any issues with that at all. But interestingly, the overall blade length is going to be shorter than the cutting surface or cutting edge. So the handle thickness, just over 12 millimeters. That's about half an inch for all you Americans, which I am as well. And it's a 3.2 mil on the blade stock. So as far as the good and the bad and the ugly on the DT-03, I just want to get into the, let's just say, quirks of this knife, because there are a little. There's a short list. So as far as the action goes, I did have to take this thing apart, and inside it has ceramic bearings in brass cages riding on steel washers. But no matter what I do, I can't really tune it to feel like it's just running on washers, which totally fine. But if that's the case, they might as well have used just washers, and that would end up breaking in better over time. This thing isn't an easily drop shut. There we go. I had to throw a little bit of stop into that. It's not easily drop shut or even a wiggle shut knife. So even doing a snap doesn't really close it all that fast. There's a bit of tension here. And if you want to keep that blade centered, you can't really adjust too much. But in that action, it also brings me to the detent. And I will say it is a very late detent. And because the action isn't free falling, I don't really have to worry about the blade ever coming down on my hand. So I would have much preferred a very early detent, maybe have it engage right here. The detent is fairly difficult to get over, and it doesn't have a detent ramp at all. And actually, I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. So you can see there's no ramp. So you can see the ball detent right. Actually, can I get in closer? You can see the ball detent right there, and the blade steel is making contact with it right now. But there's no ramping at all. As soon as you come up to the ball detent, you got to give it quite a bit of push, and then it finally goes over. You can see the frame lock moving right there. So that is going to be probably my third, I don't want to say contention, but quirk. And that's the frame lock itself. There's no cutout on the show side. But on the lock side, you do have long, shallow scallops. So I'd say there's probably about a 50, maybe a little more % lockup. And the frame lock sits pretty deep, making it difficult for me to get my thumb in there, especially compared to other frame locks. I would have preferred to see maybe a little bit of a cutout right here or a recess so you can get your finger in there a little bit easier. And then there are probably some I guess, design choices. It's going to sound like I'm just dogging on this knife, but I would just consider these quirks, and if you can get past them, it is a fantastic option. So as far as the design choices, I would think that for a solid, and you can see that there's no relief cuts or weight savings for that titanium. So for being so solid, it does, it feels quite hefty in the hand. And I think that with a little bit of internal milling, it would lighten up the DT-03 quite a bit and feel a little more balanced. But it's so handle heavy right now that, I mean, it's not that big of an issue, but it may be for some people. And then with those design choices, I gotta say the screws are a little bit odd as well. So like I said, I took this thing apart, and I mean, there's a few. You can see here, let's go right here. So this screw right here, what does that do? There's no liner inside. So what does this do? Like, why is it here? Is it for symmetry for the back one, which will hold that spine in place? I mean, I don't know. There's a couple of them. I mean, I know this isn't going into anything, because if it did, it'd be digging into that blade nonstop. So I'm not sure. It seems like maybe it's just strange. Maybe they like that superfluous use of the screws, or if it could just be for the symmetry. And then the final word of warning is probably going to be for sharpening. This plunge grind is a really, really strange angle. So you can see, well, hopefully you can see that not only does the blade narrow from the base going to the tip, but it also narrows going from the base to the tip here as well. So instead of I don't know how best to show you. Instead of being even from the handle all the way down to the tip and then coming in, it comes more at an angle like this. So that's going to be that's going to make it a little difficult to sharpen, especially given the fact that you have a lot of heft here on the blade steel, and it's going to make it so if you try to clamp, you may end up rubbing up on the titanium frame as well. So be careful. If you are going to sharpen the DT-03, I would recommend just probably taking out that pivot and pulling the blade steel out, clamping it in, sharpening it that way, and then putting it all back together with some, I've always been a fan of KPL heavy, especially when they are very potent, I guess, ball detents. So guys, fantastic knife. I love the way it feels in the hand. I like the design choice, although the screws seem a little peculiar as far as why they might be there, or why they chose to have. All I can say is it's probably the symmetry, because you can see the angles here. I've always loved titanium. I think this may feel a little bit slick when it gets wet, but it is also a little on the heavy side. But nonetheless, I do think the DT-03 is a very nice looking knife. I know not everyone's into the Wharncliffe or Sheepsfoot, but I think it looks super, super cool. So as far as my final thoughts, I think for the price, you know, $80, you're getting full titanium frame lock with VG10 steel. So I think that's a pretty good deal on materials alone. It is a very interesting knife, and I'm not sad at all that I picked it up. So it is a knife designed and defined by its quirks. I think that probably my biggest complaint is probably the fact that it is just really hard to get access to that frame lock and be able to close the knife up. The stiff action feels like washers, but the light detent, I mean, and the lack of weight relief, I would probably have to say those do all add up, and not necessarily in the best light. It is a very interesting piece from a very mysterious company, and you have to be willing to live with all those very specific and sometimes frustrating personalities that this has. So if the DT-03 is something that you would be interested in, like I said earlier, I do have a link down in the description, so you can go ahead and click on that. Outside that, guys, if you like this video and want to see more knives, want to see any type of specific review, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. But as far as the DT-03 goes, it is a very, very interesting knife. If you like this review, go ahead and click that thumbs up, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, go ahead and click on that bell notification so you guys will know when our next knife review is coming up. So guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.